Good morning, everyone. We'll work on a practice today to help to try to alleviate tightness in the body and to hopefully bring a little warmth into the body. I know for several people it's chilly where you are. For others, it's not so bad. But either way, it is the season of kind of cooler weather, and so it behooves us to take good care. So as we often do, find a comfortable seat and then take the heels of the hands to the upper thighs, right? Just a little way of saying good morning to the body. Good morning to the cat. Hello, Cucuccio. He's here, as he often is, waiting probably to chew on my head. And then a couple of times sliding the heels of the hands from the hips towards the knees, working your way around the thigh, elongating. Nice. And then hands to the side ribs. Let's lift ourselves up. Just get nice and broad. And then maintaining that, let's lift the arms in a wide V, stretching through all 10 fingers. Big inhale here. Maybe you lift the chin. Nice. And then exhaling, hands find the lap. We turn the palms of the hands down if we're feeling cold. We bring the chin parallel to the floor. Shoulder blades down the back, lift and spread the collarbones. Settle the tailbone towards the center of the earth. Navel moves back. And then balance the skull on top of the spine. Maybe that's a little dip of the ears, right and left. And then bringing the head back so that it is neutral, so the ears feel equidistant to the earth beneath us. And then can we do that same balancing act in the pelvis? Left and right sits bones. Maybe you have to do a little wiggle left and right to find your balance. Beautiful. Then lift and spread the collarbones, arm bones hanging heavy at the shoulder joint. Soften the throat. Relax the jaw, the teeth, the tongue. Can you think about softening the upper palate? Relaxing the roof of the mouth. And then spreading the cheekbones. Relaxing the bridge of the nose. Softening the eyes and their sockets. Can you spread the eyebrows, left eyebrow to the left, right eyebrow to the right? Can you relax and smooth out the skin of the forehead? Softening the temple skin, relaxing the inner ears. All of these landmarks we are so familiar with, almost to the point of ignoring them, of almost not seeing them anymore, right? Because we live in these bodies and the landscape we're in becomes so familiar. Sometimes we just stop seeing it or stop feeling it or stop noticing it until, of course, something goes awry. But can we be so curious now in our bodies that we're really perceiving? And speaking of perception now, can we move our awareness, our attention to the breath? Finding the inhalation, finding the exhalation. Being present with the breath gives us an opportunity to tune in to ourselves, but not distract ourselves, right? So the idea is that you drop everything and go into the breath. We're really noticing the inhalation fascinated by the exhalation. Feeling the breath in the nostrils, the throat, the lungs. And then bringing the hands together in front of the heart, equalize pressure, left side, right side, pressing the palms into each other, lifting and spreading the collarbones. And then let's chant the sound of Om here. Exhaling fully, inhaling fully. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let the hands fall to the lap, let the chin move towards the chest. And then just because we can, a little half circle with the head, rolling left ear towards left shoulder, right ear towards right shoulder. Just with some curiosity there. And then coming back to neutral, let's lift the head back up on the spine. If you're seated cross-legged, let's switch the interlace of the legs so the opposite shin is in front, and then work with a little bit of breath and twisting to try and enkindle some of the fire element in the body. Let's inhale, lift the arms, lift the gaze. Exhale, turn to your right. Inhale to center. Exhale, turn to your left. Going back and forth. Your breath pace is your rhythm, right? We worked on this last week, this idea of letting the breath be what moves us. These twists can really help to bring warmth into the body when we're feeling chilled, right? Twisting helps to build the Agni, right? The fire element. Let's go one more time, either side. And then next time you come to the right, or meet me on the right, I should say, we pause. Right hand behind, left hand sneaking over the right knee, tailbone heavy, lift through the crown of the head. We inhale to lift, we exhale to turn. Elbows broadening apart from each other, navel drifts back, tailbone heavy. I know I'm a broken record, but we have to visit all these landmarks on our yoga trip today. Right? Being really conscious of how the body is aligning. Each inhale, let the spine grow just a little bit more. Each exhale, turn a little bit more. Navel's moving back, back, back. That supports the sacrum. That supports the low back. And then keeping the torso turning to the right, take the chin up and over that left shoulder, looking down at the floor on the left-hand side. Inhaling, exhaling. Nice. And then exhale, come back to neutral. Pause before we go to the second side. And perhaps you have the eyes closed here. Just noticing, how is it internally? And then let's go to the second side. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, turning to the left. Left fingers behind, right hands holding on to that left knee. Now we can use the arms like intelligent instruments. They help us to turn from the belly, the rib cage, the collarbones. Nice. Inhaling to lengthening. Inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to turn. Right? Can you remember all your landmarks here? And then keeping the torso turning to the left. Let's the chin go up and over that right shoulder to look down at the floor on the right hand side. Nice big inhalation. Complete exhale. One more inhale and then exhale, coming back to neutral. Let's extend the legs. Iron them out, root to shoot. And if you are feeling cold, I'm inviting you now to rub the legs vigorously to bring some warmth there, right? It can feel nice. Maybe you work both hands on one leg, kind of getting the friction into the body, right? Sometimes that's what's needed, a little friction. And then hands behind the side. Lift and spread the collarbones. Fullness in the chest here. Heels of the hands pressing down. Maybe you lift the chin and then pointing and flexing the feet. Pointing and flexing the feet. Lengthening the front of the ankle, the back of the ankle. Lengthening the front of the leg, the back of the leg. How far up the leg can you feel this action? And then coming to the center of the heel, invert the foot, inner edges forward, outer edges forward. Where is the breath? Nice. And then coming back to neutral, let's squeeze and release the toes. Squeeze and release the toes. And then big toe up, four toes down, like you're hitchhiking with your feet. Big toe forward, four toes back, kind of the opposite. And then going back and forth. Nice. Scooping up underneath the knees, bring the feet to the floor. Feet are wider than the hips. Let the knees go left and right. A little swish from side to side. Little curiosity there. And then let's go ahead, come onto our back bodies. I'm going to have a blanket under my head. I think it's a good place to kind of work. It's nice to have that support, especially if your head and shoulders, neck and shoulders have been feeling tight. And then we won't need them right off the bat, but it's good to have them nearby, a block and a strap, just so you're ready to go. And then coming to lay back and down, letting the head and neck be fully supported by the blanket. If your floor is cold, you want to put another blanket underneath the back body. You can absolutely do that. I'd like to do a sacral reset, right? Just, it's good for tight sacrums. It's good for sore sacrums. It can be really a nice way just to work here. And so we are in active rest. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor, feet are hips distance apart and parallel. And arms are resting a comfortable distance from the body. Really, they can do whatever they want. They're not a part of this so much as they're just kind of hanging out. And then very slowly, very gently, we're going to start to rock the pelvis north to south, right? So rolling towards the tailbone, you'll feel the lower back arch, and then almost like you're rolling the tailbone towards the sky, you'll feel the low back come in contact with the earth. You're just going back and forth here. It might be a very small action, others it might be sort of big, just depends on how it feels in your body. Right, and basically you're going north to south along the sacrum, the face of the sacrum. And if your neck and shoulders and head are relaxed, you're probably noticing you're doing a long, slow yes with the head. Right, so even here, the back of the skull, the base of the skull, the back of the neck. It's also part of the equation. Nice. 2, 3 more just like this. And then bringing that to neutral, pause, notice. And then we'll go side to side. right? And so it's not as big as when we let the knees drive the bus. You're letting the sacrum drive the bus. So it's like we're going east to west or west to east across the face of the sacrum. So now it's not up and down, it's side to side. It's like you're pouring the weight to the back of the right hip and then pouring the weight across the sacrum to the back of the left hip. Right? You feel the pelvis rocking a little side to side. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to get fancy, you could add the head in opposition, just a smidge in the opposite direction, right? Kind of the same energy as you had when you were rocking the pelvis north to south. Just now you're using the skull with just a little bit of opposition. It can feel really nice, especially in the upper back. Beautiful. One more time, either side. Full inhale, full exhale. And then coming back to neutral again, just observe what's happening, right? We can't just be blindly following. We always have to be in the mind of the observer, in the mind of the mad scientist, right? We're experimenting. We're seeing, how does it do when we do this? What happens if we do this? And then circling the pelvis around now. So now it's like the back of the pelvis is a quarter that you've spun on a table, and it's at the very end of its spin. So you're kind of going around the outer edge of the sacrum. Right? Another way to think of it is if your sacrum was a clock face and you're trying to touch all the numbers evenly on the clock face. Right? Breathing here. When you feel ready, change directions if you haven't. Mm-hmm. And then just for giggles, change direction one more time just to see. And then let it all come to stillness. Take a few breaths here. Take the head a little left and right. Make sure no tension has accumulated. And then bringing the head back to neutral, let's exhale that right knee into the chest. Give it a little hug. If the knee is feeling tender, irritated, aggravated, you can always put the hands between the thigh and the calf. Otherwise, we're interlacing right over the shin. And then I'm drawing it straight into the middle. We'll use a little isometric action here where we're using the muscles against the muscles to create dynamic tension. On an inhalation, I want you to start pushing that right shin or right thigh into the hands. The hands are resisting back, so externally it doesn't look like much is happening, but internally you know things are going on. You're just breathing here. The tailbone is long, shoulders are relaxed, back of the neck is nice and lengthened. We're breathing here, trying to keep the navel moving back, 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 right? This is one of the ways we can strengthen the sacrum. And then on your next exhalation, I want you to soften any and all effort. You're still holding onto the leg. You're just relaxing here. Nice. And then we'll go again. On an inhale, we're pressing the leg into the hands, hands into the leg. Navel moves back. We breathe. Nice. Back of the neck is relaxed. You're not using it to create this dynamic tension. Nice. And then exhale to soften. From here, the left arm's going to go to the floor. Right hand's going to take hold of the bent right knee. And you're going to start to steer the knee around in a circle. Couple of times in one direction, couple of times in the other. And for this part, you're letting the pelvis rock from side to side. You're not trying to control it. You're letting it do whatever it wants to do. Breathing the whole while. And then if you feel ready, you can let go of the knee and still make the circles. But now I want you to quiet the pelvis. So I'm actually pressing into the sole of my left foot. And I'm drawing my navel to my spine in order to keep my pelvis very quiet. Taking the knee around in circles, a few times in one direction, a few times in the other. And then when you feel ready, extend the leg. Now, if your low back isn't liking this, you want to keep the knee bent, you absolutely can. Others, you're pointing through the toe, hugging the muscles to the bone, and making circles from the hip socket. So again, we keep the pelvis quiet here. I'm pressing into the sole of my left foot. These circles might be very small. If there's any popping, clunking, clicking in the hip, we keep them little, right? Just tiny circles. Make sure to change directions every few passes. Soften the throat, soften the eyes. Gorgeous. So it's as much about core control as it is about the leg itself. And then flexing the foot. So now I'm drawing circles on the sky with my heel bone. Yes, again, trying to keep that pelvis as quiet as possible. You can make these circles as big or as small as feels okay in your body. You might be experimenting with different sizes. Then from here, we bend the knee out to the right, placing the outer right ankle on top of the left knee. We draw the left thigh towards us, either using a strap or interlacing the hands behind the back of that left thigh, both feet lightly flexed, head, neck, and shoulders all relaxed down on the mat. And then any amount. See what happens if you take the legs to the left, just a smidge, right? Can you activate a stretch in the back of the right hip, the right gluteal? Nice. Breathing here. Tailbone is long. Don't lift the tailbone. Soften the jaw. For some folks, it feels better to rock side to side, slowly, slowly. Others, it's going to feel better to hang out. Maybe it's a combination of that. Nice full inhalation, complete exhalation. And then inhaling the legs back to neutral. Exhale, feet come back down to the floor. Just for giggles, take the knees a little side to side. We have a lot of information from earlier about how the sacrum felt. Notice how it is now. Perhaps there's some warmth coming into that area as well. And then coming back to neutral, let's do that much to the second side. Left knee comes into the chest. Again, depending on the happiness of the knee, you're either interlacing the hands over the shin or folding the hands between the thigh and the calf. And then relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the hip, breathing here. Back of the neck nice and long. It's always interesting how quickly that area shortens. And then as you feel ready on an inhalation, add in that layer of isometric action where you're pressing the leg into the hands, resisting the hands back. Backs of the shoulders are spreading on the floor. We're not curling them up. How is it in the jaw? Then on an exhalation, soften all the action, but don't let go. Maybe the left knee wants to drift a little off to the left. That would be fine. Nice. And then bring the leg back to neutral. Let's go in one more time with that. Inhaling, pressing leg into hands. Hands resist back against legs. Navel moves down towards the floor. Don't cone the belly towards the sky here. Right? We want to keep those abdominal muscles supportive. Inhaling, exhaling. You've got this. Nice. And then on the exhalation, soften. Releasing right arm to the floor beside you. Left hand takes hold of bent left knee. You know where we're going. We're stirring it around in a circle. And for this part, we let the pelvis rock. Let the pelvis feel free. Get that little bit of kind of sloshing around. It's like a massage, right? The low back, the sacrum, this whole area benefits. And then letting go of the knee, we continue the circles, but now we attempt to quiet the pelvis, right? I really have to draw the lower abdominal muscles from pubic bone to belly button. I have to be really focused, navel to spine. I press into the sole of the right foot. That can help me. That helps to stabilize. Remember, you're in charge of the size of the circles, so you can play around, see what does it feel like if I do a really big circle? What does it feel like if I do a tiny circle? And then if things are still feeling okay, we extend the leg, we're pointing the toe like a ballet dancer, and then still making circles. Now, depending on the hip, it might be a big circle, it might be a small circle. Really try to lengthen through the front of the ankle as best you can. Maybe you're playing around with different size circles, doing a little tiny one, doing a gigantic one, a full rond de jambe. Go the other way if you haven't already. Make sure to be switching directions. Open up behind the back of that knee. And then flexing the foot. So now the heel bone making circles. Couple of times in one direction. Couple of times in the other. Navel's moving down and back. Pubic bone to belly button. Nice. And then on the exhale, we bend that left knee out to the left. Outer left ankle, top of right thigh towards the right knee. Then I'm drawing that right thigh towards me. And this might be where we need the strap. Right? So if when you go to interlace your hands behind the back of the right thigh, all of a sudden your head, neck, and shoulders come off the floor, that's a really good indication you need extra length for your arms. And then we're gently, slowly seeing what happens if we take the legs a smidge to the right. It doesn't take a lot to do a lot here, right? And if you're keeping the hips squared to the wall in front of you, tailbone heavy, it's a little more intense, right? So you can absolutely, quote unquote, titrate the dose, as they say. Softening the jaw, relaxing the eyes, breathing here. Back of the neck is still long. And then inhale, bring the legs back to neutral. Exhale, release the feet to the floor. Pause, notice. Take the knees a little left and right. Use that as your litmus test. How did it go? Beautiful. From here, you're going to go ahead and lift your head and slip that blanket out from underneath you. And then we're pretty much ready for this. We're going to take our flat block underneath the sacrum. So now I've got a flat block horizontal underneath the sacrum. We're going to work the lower abdominals a little bit here in hopes of strengthening them in order to stabilize our sacrum, right? So it's kind of a full sacrum class right now. Elbows drive into the floor on either side of the rib cage. My palms are facing each other over my abdomen, and I'm rolling my outer upper arm down towards the floor. That helps to draw my shoulder blades together. And then we've got several different variations we can work with. So the first variation is thus. We keep the feet on the floor. That's where our starting point is. And then one at a time, on an exhale, we lift the knee directly over the hip. We inhale to put the foot down. Exhale, lift the other knee over the hip. Inhale to put it down. So I'm not bringing the knees any closer than hip distance, right? If you want to, you can use your hands to give yourself a little bit of a bumper, right? So that's pretty much the easiest stage of drawing pubic bone to belly button, navel to spine. So depending on how the body is feeling today, you might stay with this. Others, you're like, oh, I feel great today. I want to do something a little stronger. Then you start with the knees over the hips. And as you exhale, you dip the toes down to the floor. Inhale to bring it back. Exhale, dip the toes down to the floor. Inhale to bring it back. Beautiful. So that's option B. And then if you're like, wow, I'd really like it to be harder, well, then I'd have you flex the feet and try to take the heel bone to the floor. It's a little bit further of a journey. Remember, thighs for everyone aren't coming any closer than hips distance to your body, right? I've got my hands here to keep myself honest. Mm-hmm. And then if you're like, oh, I still wish it was even harder, then I would have you do two legs together. And you can do that by dipping the toes. Or again, another option would be to let the heels barely touch. Or maybe you're alternating toes and then heels. And then toes and then heels. Maybe you're going back and forth, one leg at a time, right? There's so many different ways to work here. Navel to spine, pubic bone to belly button. The pelvis is silent. It's not moving at all. Beautiful. One more time, either side. And then bring the feet to the floor. Lift the pelvis, slip the block out from underneath. Roll down one vertebra at a time. Once the pelvis touches the earth, then gently, slowly draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little squish, and then rocking a little side to side. Then hands on the bent knees, steering the two knees around in a circle. A few times in one direction, a few times in the other. Sometimes the simplest actions are the most useful. And then last but not least, take the feet to the floor as wide as your mat. Stretch your arms out in a T shape. And let's take the knees and the head in opposition. So knees go left, head goes right, and vice versa. Yes, really wringing out the body, noticing how everything's gone so far. Gorgeous. And then rolling all the way to one side. Use the hands to help yourselves up, help yourselves out. We'll need a bolster or a facsimile of a bolster. So I'm either using a bolster or I'm folding up two blankets on top of each other to make a bolster. Other options would be we're going to take our elbows to the bolster with a wide block between our hands. So you could take your elbows to the edge of a chair or a couch or the side of your bed. But here's where we're going. So I've got the wide block between the palms of my hands. So I see this a lot where people will hold it with their fingers and their wrist is this weird bending out thing. I want you to have the block between the palms of the hands. You can even lift your fingers away. And it's the wide block, so it's the longest option possible. Then I'm taking my elbows to the bolster and I'm walking my knees back. I'm lifting my tailbone while I'm drawing my navel towards my spine. And then depending on the happiness of my shoulders, I could bring the eyes to the bolster, the bridge of the nose and the eyes to the bolster. I could bring the forehead to the bolster, or I could bring the hairline to the bolster. I'm trying to keep my elbows bent at 90 degrees, but if that's problematic, I can always extend the arms a little bit. If I need to be careful, maybe my head doesn't even come all the way down. Maybe I'm just experimenting drawing the tailbone back. Maybe I keep the head slightly lifted, right? Others, the head is resting, the tailbone's reaching back, 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 navel's lifting up towards the back body. You're pressing that block between the hands, softening the jaw, even here. Breathing into the space between the shoulder blades. Really breathing into the armpit chest. The more you draw the tailbone back and kind of draw the elbows forward, the more intense the pose becomes. And then walking the knees forward. I'm going to keep our bolster or our stack of blankets for our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Just taking my socks off here, turning my support vertical down my mat. Now I'm taking my flat block. Some folks might need a medium block to the top of my support. I'm moving my hands forward and resting my forehead down. Index fingers are still parallel. Full circumference of the palm of the hand is pressing. And then I'm tucking my toes under and lifting the hips up and back. Perhaps to get the heels to the floor, I need to walk my feet wider than hips distance. Indeed, you could use the edges of the mat. Then I'm rolling my inner elbows forward, drawing my tailbone back. And again, if a flat block isn't enough height, you can absolutely use a medium block. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to use whatever is necessary so that you don't feel like you're collapsing. Yes. Beautiful. Stretching through the backs of the legs. Tailbone is lengthening. Again, you might be doing a modified pose with the arms at a bed. Nice. And then walking into Uttanasana. Perhaps if you turn your block to the tall aspect now, you could rest your head and your Uttanasana. It might mean that you have to take your legs a little wider. It might mean that you have to add more height onto your support. Maybe it means you need a flat block and a tall block. Others, maybe you could use just a medium block on top of your bolster. But now coming into our forward bend with head support. Pressing in the feet, big toe ball mound, outer heel. Gorgeous. And then soften the knees a smidge. Thumbs go into the hip creases. Draw the hip creases back. Lengthen the spine. And inhale and come back to standing. Good job. Roll the shoulders just a smidge. Oh, get rid of any tension. Maybe it feels good to turn the head a little side to side. We've got a little bit of standing work to do here. So I'm moving my bolster off of my mat. I'm going to take my two tall blocks to the back long edge of my mat. You've made a decision which side is the front long edge, which side is the back long edge. And then let's come to Tadasana in the center of our mat. Big toe ball mound, outer heels pressing. Yes, hands come to the hips. Beautiful. Wrap the elbows towards each other just for a moment. Feel that lift in the front of the chest. And then maintaining that, lengthen the arms down by your sides. Palms turn slightly forward. Reach through all 10 fingernails. Lift through the crown of the head. Imagine pressing it into an invisible hand. And then taking fingertips to touch over the heart. I'm going to bend the knees. Well, inhaling. We step or jump the feet out. Yes, we're headed to Trikonasana, triangle pose. You can leave the arms extended, or if you need to rest, you can always take the hands to your hips. And then you're going to let that left heel kick out slightly, right? It's just a smidge. You want the outer edge of the foot to be parallel to that short edge of the mat. And then we're turning the whole right leg out from the root. Bend the right knee, lift the right heel, let that realign itself, then plant the heel and straighten the leg 99.9%. Hips, body, torso, all still parallel to the front long edge of the mat. Inhale here, and then on an exhale, reach with that right hand. Get as long as you can on that right side. Then let the right hand come down to find your block. Left hand finds the hip. If you need more height, you can absolutely put your second block underneath that block underneath your right hand. Beautiful. Tailbone lengthens towards that back left heel. Turn your head to look at the front right foot, but turn your right ribs forward, left ribs back. Navel moves down and back, right into the belly. Yes. Pubic bone to belly button, even here. Move the right collarbone away from the chin. Gorgeous. That'll bring the shoulder blade down and back. Now, if you're feeling it, you're going to turn your head into the frontal plane of the pose, tuck the chin slightly, and reach through the crown of the head. And then those that can lift the left arm up towards the sky. Press the outer left foot down. Beautiful. Lengthen through both sides of the torso. Remember all that length you got on the right side. And then bend the right elbow slightly. Inhale, push off the right block to come back to standing. If you can, keep the arms out. We're going to switch the feet, right? So we have to turn those right toes in, maybe even take a peek as the right outer edge of the foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then we turn that left foot out entirely. Yeah, so that the toes now are pointing to that side of the mat. Gorgeous. Bend the left knee, lift the left heel, let that organize itself. Let that self-organize. I guess that's also a way we could say it. We're going to inhale here. Then as you exhale, reach, 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 reach through that left arm. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Then let the left arm alight. Right hand comes to the right hip. It's a light action. I'm not collapsing onto that left block. And then I'm deepening the bend of that left hip crease as I lengthen the left side torso. Don't lose any of that length whatsoever. Turn the head to look at the left foot if it's not already. Spiral, left ribs forward, right ribs back, and then move the left collarbone away from the chin. Maintaining all of this now. If it feels okay, you turn the head into the frontal plane of the pose and lengthen the right arm up towards the sky. Nice. Outer right foot pressing. Tailbone moving towards that back right heel. Don't lock the left knee. Keep the left side long, right side long. Nice. And then bend the left elbow, push off, inhale, come back to standing. Exhale, take your hands to your hips. Turn your feet parallel. You might have to heel toe your feet in, but you're going to walk or jump your feet back together. Beautiful. Yes. Nice. Okay. Rolling the shoulders again. Let's take a little shoulder snack break. I'm turning my back to you, not to be rude, just so that we can get into it. Right arm comes behind you. You're taking hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Palm of the hand faces away from your booty. We're going to draw the arm down towards the outer left side of the mat as you tilt your head to the left. And then where the chin is makes a difference. So tilting the chin towards the collarbone produces one effect. Tilting the chin up towards the sky produces another one. And then there's all the places in between. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release. Pause in the middle. Might feel like that right arm's much longer now. That's normal. And then second side, left arm goes behind you. You take hold of the left wrist with the right hand. You draw it down and out towards the right side of the mat. Then you tilt your head to the right. Don't lock the knees here. I know it's tempting. Nice. Breathing here. Again, where the head ends up makes a big difference to how this feels. So feel free to maneuver. And then exhale to release, rolling the shoulders again, noticing how it feels. Gorgeous. Now we're going to go from triangle to side angle. Just going to see what happens, and perhaps we'll alight in Ardha Chandrasana. We're going to see how it goes. Okay, coming back to our Tadasana in the center of the mat. Our blocks are ready to go. Beautiful. Find all the four corners of each foot. Big toe ball mound, little toe ball mound, inner outer heel. Press down firmly. lift up through the crown of the head. Remember the action of drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, but not at the expense of the lower frontal ribs. Keep the respiratory diaphragm centered over the pelvic diaphragm. Nice. Then fingertips come to touch at the shelf of the heart. Well, inhaling, walk or jump the feet out. Nice. From here, left heel kicks out slightly, outer left foot parallel to the left side of the mat. Right foot turns out completely. Beautiful. Bend the knee a smidge, lift the heel. Gorgeous. Then straighten the leg, 99.9. We're inhaling to get long. Then we exhale. That right arm comes out and over. Find the right block. Take the left hand to the left hip. Turn your head down. Nice. Well, exhaling, bend your right knee over the right heel. And then I'm pressing my arm and my leg together, right? Iyengar would have called this a locker, right? You're locking the leg and the arm together. Nice. Keep lengthening the right side of the torso. Then any amount, turn. Right ribs forward, left ribs back. Head might be looking in the frontal plane of the pose now. Then stretch that left arm down the side of the body. Beautiful. Then take that left arm down in front of you and up and over the left ear, right? That's a healthy action for the shoulder. Right shoulder blade moves down the back. Nice. And then follow the length of your arm with your eyes. Find your middle fingers. Yes. Beautiful. Now we're just going to see what happens. Swing this left arm down in front of you and back to your left hip. Take your left hand to your left hip. Turn your gaze back to the floor. We're going to walk the right block forward and slightly out to the right. Give yourself a nice wide, stable surface. And then stepping the left foot in. Then see, could you stand onto the right leg, lifting the left leg up to hip height, lengthening your left arm down the side of your body. Your left hand is on your outer left thigh. Push your left thigh into your left hip, or into your left hand. Right ribs forward, left ribs back. Keep the gaze at the earth. Reach through the inner left heel like you're touching a wall. Navel to spine. And then those that can, turn your head into the frontal plane of the pose. Those that can, lift the left arm up towards the sky. Nice. And then left hand back to left hip. Look at the ground. Bend the right knee. Reach, reach, reach with that left foot. Touch your Parsvakonasana. And then straighten the right leg. Touch your Trikonasana. And then bend the right elbow. Push off the block. Come back to standing. Ta-da! Beautiful. Turn the feet parallel. Let's go straight to the other side before we lose our nerve. Not that we would. All right, so I've got the outer right foot parallel to the outer right side of the mat. I'm turning the whole left leg out to the left. You bend the left knee a smidge, lift the heel. This just helps the leg organize. Press the heel down, straighten the leg 99.9%. Let's extend the arms out in a T shape, right? Here we are. We're inhaling, exhaling. Reach, reach, reach to the left. Left hand finds left block. Right hand finds right hip. Turn the gaze down towards that left foot. Take a moment. Inhale to lengthen both sides of the waist. Then exhale to bend that left knee. Now, I've got, again, the arm and the leg. They're hugging together. Sometimes we take a strap and we bind them. It's a nice way to work. We're not doing it today because we've got other things on our agenda, but that is something to keep in mind. Beautiful. So lengthen the left side of the torso, lengthen the right side of the torso, then shoot the right arm down the side body. Take it down around in front of you and up over the right ear. Nice long line of the body. And then follow the length of the arm with your eyes. Find your fingertips. Beautiful. Navel to spine, tailbones moving strongly towards that back right heel. Yes. Can you still feel the heel bone of the left foot? And then taking that right arm back down in front of you, take the right hand to the right hip. Turn the gaze back to look down. You're stepping your left block out to the left and forward. You're going to step the right foot out, or in rather. Draw your left block out slightly and then come on up. Come on up. Right hand on outer right thigh. You're pressing the outer right thigh into the right hand. Left ribs forward, right ribs back. And then those that can, turn the head into the frontal plane of the pose. Tuck the chin slightly. Keep the back of the neck long. And then lift the right arm. Beautiful. Navel to spine, pubic bone to belly button. Keep breathing. Nice. And the hand comes back to the hip. We turn the gaze to look down. We bend the front knee. We take the block with us. We find our Parsvakonasana. Then we find our Trikonasana. Then we push off the block and come back to standing. Good job. Turn the feet parallel. So we're going to take something symmetrical now. We're going to keep the feet wide. I'm jumping my feet a little back so that my heel bones are lined up with the back long edge of my mat. I've got my two tall blocks underneath my hands, and then I'm walking the blocks forward to come into that hybrid of Prasarita Padottanasana and downward facing dog. We're actually going to take a little twist here. So make sure your hands are up on blocks, spine is long, big toe ball mount, outer heels pressing, lift the knees. You're going to keep your left hand on the block. You're going to reach underneath your left arm and see, could you take your right hand to your outer left shin? Lengthen the spine. Inhale, exhale. See if you could turn. Can you look underneath your left armpit? Beautiful. And then coming back around, right hand finds the right block. You press down through the palm. Then on an exhalation, the left arm reaches underneath. You try to take your left hand to your outer right shin. You inhale to lengthen. You exhale to turn. Nice. And inhaling to come back to center. We can walk the blocks underneath our shoulders. We're going to heel toe the feet in so that we can come back down onto the floor. Going to take just a moment in inversion. So go ahead, come all the way back down onto your back body. Have your two blocks ready to go. Remembering that you can take a flat block, a medium block, or two flat blocks on top of each other. Just depends on what feels good. Coming all the way down now, press the feet, lift the hips, and then let the sacrum rest on the block or blocks just for a moment. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. It's supported Setu Bandha. Right? So before we go into our Viparita Karani, or inverted practice, we take a breath in this Setu Bandha, letting the inner groins open, letting the fronts of the thighs open. And then press the elbows, draw the shoulder blades towards each other. Really think about doming the chest. Then on an exhalation, lift the knees. Inhale, extend the legs, rolling outer, upper arms down, down, down. Have perfect perpendicularity, right? So the legs are straight over the hips. Beautiful. Taking just 30 seconds here. Breathing, breathing. Maybe later today you take a longer inversion. We're just running out of time, so I'm trying to be efficient, right? Efficiency sometimes is the name of our practice. Beautiful. One more inhale here. And then exhale, both knees bend, navel to spine, pubic bone to belly button. Slowly, slowly bring the feet back down to the earth. Once they land, press the feet, lift the hips, and slide the blocks out from underneath you. And then roll down one vertebra at a time. Once the pelvis lands, then on the exhale, hug the knees into the chest. Once more, we can rock a little side to side. Yes. And then a little in a circle, letting go of any tension. Beautiful. And then we're getting ready for Shavasana. So if you've lost layers, go ahead and put them back on. So that might be socks, a sweater, scarf, hat, whatever you need to be warm. And then set yourself up. Do you need a little support behind the backs of the thighs? Take your blocks. Do you want a little weight on the front of your body? Take your bolster. Do you have a blanket underneath the head? Right? Use what you need in order to have good support. Right? It's so important to support the body in any way that we can, especially in Shavasana. So do all the things. And then before you fully commit to stillness, open the mouths wide. Stick the tongue out. Ah. Yes. Really stretch. And then draw the tongue back into the mouth. Gently let just the lips come back to touch. And then let go yourself completely. Let loose yourself completely. Let yourself rest here in stillness and silence, knowing now there's nothing to do. Letting one strand of your awareness come back to hear my voice. Depending on your situation, you may decide to remain in Shavasana for a longer period of time this morning. And if that's you, I just want you to ignore me. Others, you feel ready to move or you're time bound in some way. And if that's you, I want you to start deepening your breath, coming back to the surface of the body, bringing little movements back to your fingers, to your toes, to your ankles and your wrists. And then when you feel ready, you'll draw the knees back into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And then slowly, mindfully roll to your right side. Pause there for a moment on the right side. Nice. And then use your hands to gently, slowly press yourself back up to a seated position. Tailbone descending, crown of head ascending, nice and long. Then take the hands together in front of the heart, palm against palm, fingers elongated. Lift the sternum to the base of the thumbs, broaden the collarbones, and on an exhalation, let the chin move forward, let the chin move down. We're bowing to the seat of the soul, bowing to that divine inner wellspring of kindness, compassion, patience, and joy. The light in me is deeply honored by your light. I'm grateful for your practice, humbled by your presence, and really just thrilled you were here. And in case no one else tells you today, I love you, and I'm convinced of your capacity to continue crafting a life worth living. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You're welcome. You too. Bye-bye.